There's nothing visible. Okay. Screen doesn't seem to be very clear. Or is it just my own vision?
It's your eyes are squinting now. It's clear.
Shall we start it?
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपः स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजता दधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, chapter number 2, beginning from verse number 24. So we've been reading this story of Ajamila. and they had the wonderful dialogue between Yamdutas and Vishnu Dutas, and how Vishnu Dutas they refuted the statements of Yamduta about dharma and established the power of name of God, how it attracts the attention of Lord Himself and purifies a person. And one should not think that all these glorifications are false, imaginary, or need some other interpretation. Because the name has inherent power in it. It does not depend on anything. Really speaking, not on anything. But still there are certain principles which are to be followed, which have been established by the sages or rishis. This light is not on. Otherwise it is like a medicine which taken, you know what are the ingredients in it, it has its effect in the same way it works. So Ajamila, he heard this dialogue and he was very amazed, and then suddenly he saw that first the Yamdutas they left him, although he was previously bound by them, and then the Vishnu Dutas they also disappeared because he was so happy, he thought he wants to speak to them, but they left. And now it describes how Ajamila reacted to this lecture which he heard, or this dialogue. So he says, Ajamilo piyat akarnya dutanam yam krishna yaho dharmam bhagavatam shuddham traividyam cha gunashrayam. Ajamila, he heard this wonderful dialogue between the messengers of Yamaraj and Krishna, and this was about Bhagavad Dharma, which is pure and free from any material gunas, and also the Dharma which is related with the three gunas. Bhaktiman Bhagavati Ashu Mahatma Shravnadhahe Anutapo Mahanasit Smarato Asubham Atmanahe. So what did he do at that time? He started repenting. One repents when one understands one's mistake. And that is the real purification. If one does prashchitta, one has atonement, but one does not have the feeling of repentance inside, then it does not really purify one's heart. So this is what happens in devotion. That devotion brings knowledge because it is self-luminous. Bhakti has its own power, not only of purifying, but actually it also has knowledge in it. So it illuminates and makes one understand the truth. And when one understands, not really understands, but realizes it, sakshat kartam avagama. So one has direct experience of it, then it is easy to see one's own mistakes. In ignorance we make various decisions and act on that. But when we are situated in knowledge, then we can realize that those actions were wrong. And then one naturally becomes humble. So humility comes naturally to a devotee. So now he is repenting that what did I do? So after he heard the glory, the greatness of Lord Hari and his name, he was very much feeling bad, great repentance and anutapo mahanasit. Why? Smarato ashubham atmana, remembering, recollecting all the improper activities he has done in his life. Ashubham, inauspicious things. He was engaged in stealing, robbing, telling lies, drinking liquor, and of course associating with this woman. So he became devoted to the Lord and was considering his past, how wrongly he had acted. So Sri Vishwanath says that Yamadutanam Krishna Dutanam cha dharmam akarne Krishna Dutanam dharmam shuddham gunatitam Bhagavatam Bhagavat pranitam Yamadutanam tu traivedyam vedatrayam pratipadyam gunashriyam suddham. So he was able to understand the distinction between what is Bhagavat Dharma and what is Varnashram Dharma. So as I said earlier that this whole dialogue is a dialogue between Purnimansa and Uttarmimansa or Vedanta, and these two things are contrasted in each other. So Varnashram Dharma is based on the three gunas because it's according to the physical body nature. Chaturvarnam maya srishtam guna karma vibhavasya. So according to the gunas of nature, it has the four divisions are made by the Lord. Although its purpose is to uplift one from the gunas, but it is based on that. And Bhagavad Dharma is transcendental to the gunas. So any activity which is performed in relationship to God or Krishna, it is free from the gunas. As long as we are under the influence of the gunas, we are unable to see this fact. Things look material, although they are transcendental. We are in Vrindavan, it also looks like any other place. You see the deities, they also look like just any other forms you may see. But actually these are transcendental form and transcendental place which we are unable to perceive because of our own material vision. When we perceive things, the perception depends on the object we perceive and also the bhav which we have. Both are giving rise to the understanding of the object. Therefore, even when Krishna was there, not that everybody realized that he is great or he is God or he is transcendental. So many people thought he is another person. So therefore he says that foolish people do not know me. So now Ajamila, previously he was following Varnashram Dharma and he had one concept of life. He experienced Varnashram Dharma. He also experienced how this Varnashram Dharma was not able to protect him. Because when his mind became filled with lust for this woman, he tried his best to control himself. He knew that this is wrong, but he was unable to control. All his dharmic practice, all his dharmic activities, chanting of his mantras, yagyas, nothing could help him. And now he also experienced the power of name. So he is speaking on the basis of his own experience. So it is for our benefit, so that we can take a lesson from his experience. and take to devotion. So he says that this dharma, which is propagated by Vedatraya, which is described in Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, this is not pure. Therefore Krishna says Tragunya Vishya Veda, this Tragunya Bhavani. That the Vedas, they are speaking about the objects, activities, destinations which are related with three gunas. And one should become free from the three gunas, Nistraguna. And that is only bhakti, or possible through bhakti. So that's what he is realizing at present. So the following verses, they are describing how he was repenting. Aho me paramam kashtam abhud avijitatmanah yena viplavitam brahma vrisalyam jayatatmanah. Says indeed it is very painful that I, who was not having control over my senses, I destroyed my status as a Brahmana and became attached to a prostitute and produced son from them, saying that I took birth from her. Because it is said that Atma vai jayate putra, that a person is born from his wife in the form of son. So he says that Visalyam Jayata Atmana, that I took birth from this prostitute, I was a Brahmana. So he fell down from that. Atmana Maya Visalyam Jayata Putrataya Jayamanina. So he says he took birth as a son, and Brahmanatvam Viplavitam Nasatam, and destroyed, because he gave up all the principles of Brahmana. So now it's mostly this talk of his repenting. Dingmam vigarhitam sadbhir duskritam kula kajjalam hiktva balam satim yoham surapam asatim mayam. Says that indeed fee on me again and again, because I am very sinful and I am criticized by saintly people. I am the bad mark in my family and brought disfame into my dynasty. I gave up my chaste wife who was innocent and became associated with low-class woman who was addicted to drinking. But when the first time he saw her, she was drunk with this man. So this is what happens when person's mind is not under control. Then he starts doing activities which he or she will not do in a normal state of mind or when the mind is sane. Because mind is unable to discriminate. The intelligence becomes covered by the lust. As Krishna says that lust covers. Just like the child is covered in the womb or the fire is covered by smoke, or this mirror gets covered by dust, then you cannot see properly. Like that, intelligence by which we make decisions when it becomes influenced by sense pleasure, then it cannot discriminate. Otherwise, the power of discrimination is there in everybody. Everyone is born with it. But when it becomes polluted, then one cannot discriminate, and then one takes decision on the basis of sense pleasures. So this is the situation of people in general. Everybody considers oneself as right. No one thinks that he or she is wrong, whatever they may be doing. Why? Because they take decision with their intelligence. And they trust intelligence, because that is the instrument for making decisions. That's why when you try to tell somebody that you are wrong, they always try to defend themselves. So, no, I'm not, because they have decided with the intelligence, and now intelligence will defend. And it's very difficult to see one's own mistakes, even when others point out. So that's why it is necessary to have a guru. And that is the reason that guru is respected, because if you don't respect, you don't listen to him. Which is the situation at present. Nobody cares for anybody. Whether they are parents or teachers or any senior person, everybody is independent now. It's called freedom. So with this freedom is good if you are capable of handling it. If you have the ability. But if you are not capable, if you don't have intelligence, then it's like giving freedom to a child. And he goes outside, he can be hit on the road because he doesn't know how to act. So most people are like that. They may be grown up, but they are like little children. And therefore they are meeting accidents in their life, and they are suffering. But they are not willing to accept it because physically they think we are grown up. But psychologically they are very little. Balas, babies. So that's why a teacher is necessary to give direction. So even Ajamila, although he was a Brahmana, he was educated, he had studied the Vedas, but he also made mistake. But now when he heard from the Vishnu Dutas, then he realized. So he is able to now make a proper decision. Because you make decisions according to your faith and according to your understanding. So if people don't have knowledge of Shastra or anything higher than what they see in their life, then what decision they can make? The decisions are made in ignorance. So he says that I gave up my chaste wife and I became attached. So this is like digging your own ditch and then falling into it. He was well situated and he says Sadabhir Duskritam Vigarhitam. He is acting in a despicable manner. No saintly person will appreciate what he is doing. So Duskritam Paparupam Dos Kartaram. So he says I acted in a very sinful way and full of defects. Vriddhau anathau pitarau nanyabandhu tapasvinau ho mayadhuna tyakta akritajnena nichavat. Says that I gave up my old parents who had no support and no other relatives to take care of them. And these parents were very nice. Tapasvina means very austere, well behaved. But I did not bother about it. Because when you are in your own self, then you think why I have to do anything for others. People usually think in modern times that I have my own life life to live. And if you say, well, your parents, they gave birth to you, say, well, I didn't ask them. That's their problem. Did they ask me to give me birth before they gave me birth? So they gave me birth, that's their problem. So people don't feel grateful. If you don't feel grateful to your parents, you cannot feel grateful to anybody. And then forget about God or anything higher. If you cannot feel grateful to somebody who is visible, who has done something to you, then how can you feel grateful to somebody who is invisible, no matter what he is doing to you? So that's why it's very difficult at present for people to become theists, really speaking, or surrender or accept Shastra, because everybody is raised as free-thinking person, independent, and I have to live my own life, and just for myself. So in that state you don't care whether your parents are old or they need you or they are suffering. Okay, at best put them in some care, old age home. But that's not what parents really need. They also need some love and affection. So he says, look how low class and fallen I am, that I did not care for my very religious, pious, well-behaved parents who took care of me so nicely. And they were helpless, which means he did not have any other brothers. He probably was the only son. You can say that there was no one to take care of them. So in India it was a custom previously. There was no old age homes, although now they are coming here also. That parents become a joint family system. So the children take care of the parents in their old age. So he says, I abandoned them. So how ungrateful I am. It is said in the Shastra that person who is ungrateful, even the vultures will not eat his meat. So this is the worst thing you can do. It's the worst sin, to be ungrateful, especially to parents. So in the Upanishad it is instruction given by the teacher when the student is leaving the school, then the teacher gives final instruction. And he says that Matri Deva Bhava, Pitri Deva Bhava, Atithi Deva Bhava. That honor your mother, your father, the guests like Deva, worshipable deity. And Swadhyaya Summa Pramada, don't be lax in studies. Dharmam chara satyam vada, be truthful, follow dharma, and whatever you have learned from us, good things, follow that. Don't take bad things from us. This is stated in the Upanishad. So this was the instruction which they used to give. Now parents are afraid of the children. Soham vyaktam patishyami narake bhrishadaruне dharmagna kamino yatra vindanti yamayatanaha. So he says that definitely I will go to hell, where I have to suffer terribly. The place where people who are sinful, who are killer of dharma, dharmagna, means who flout the principles of dharma and who are only kamis, just sense enjoyers, where they go and suffer, I must go there and suffer. I deserve that. So he did not think like this before, but now this thought is coming to him. Kimidam swapna ahosvit sakshat drishtam bhutam kvayatadyate yemam yakarsham pasupanaya. So he says that what I saw now, was it reality or was it a dream? Because he couldn't believe that such a thing happened. So, is it my real experience or I dreamt? And where have these people gone who were trying to pull me out in ropes? अथापि मे दुर्भगस्य विबुधोत्तम दर्शने भवितव्यं मंगलेन येनात्मा मे प्रसीदति. So he says that although I am very sinful in this life and very unfortunate, but definitely something I must have done in my past life, some good thing. Because he is wondering how he got to see these people, the Vishnu Dutas, that I was able to see these wonderful personalities, and they were so auspicious that even now my heart is feeling a great bliss that I was able to see them. So विबुधोत्तमानां दर्शने विषये कारणत्वेन केनापि मंगलेन तस्य कस्यचित् भक्तस्य कारुण्यमेव अनुमेयम्. So he said that I was able to have darshan of these great personalities. So there must be something auspicious, some good thing which I have done. Because everything has some cause, nothing happens without a cause. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says that I infer that I must have the grace of some devotee on me in the past. Tene vina tatra bhakti bija vapana asambhavat. So he says without that it is not possible that he got the seed of devotion. So what was the seed of devotion? Yata eva swaputrasya Narayana iti nama chakara. So it is only because of that grace of some devotee that he named his son as Narayana. Otherwise it is not possible. So bhakti, because it is causeless, being free from the gunas, it is not dependent on any material actions. It comes only by the grace of a devotee. And it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bees Brahmanda Brahmite Kaum Bhagyavanaji. So many living beings in this universe. Some people have the fortune of getting the grace of devotee. Then the path of devotion begins. So even this very fact that he named his son as Narayana, which actually became instrumental in saving him from going to hell, this happened because of some grace of devotees. And Jiva Goswami, he comments also similarly, says that अथापि इति अनेन प्राचीन अस्य भक्तिरस्ति किंतु केनापि अपराधेन आवृत्ता भूत इति गम्यते. Says that this stated word athapi me durbhagasya, it indicates that he had devotion from the past. He was a devotee in the past life, but it became covered because of some offense. So offense is something which can cover one's devotion, and then one can completely become a materialistic person. And then when the effect of the offense is removed, then it again starts acting. So bhavopi abhavamayati, Krishna presta aparadati. One can lose by the aparad to a Krishna presta, a dear devotee of Krishna, in bhav, athva nyantayam, or one can diminish it. So therefore this offense is the most dangerous thing for a devotee. One has to carefully avoid that. This is one of the central teachings which we have been seeing in many of these stories in 4th canto, 5th canto, and here now in the 6th one. So many places it is depicted directly or indirectly, it is stated directly. So therefore he says that I must have done something, and says because of that my mind is still feeling great that I got to see these devotees now. Annatha mriyamanasya nasucher vrishlipatehe vaikunthagra grahanam jibham vaktim iha arhati. Says that otherwise how is it possible that I was able to recite the name of the Lord at the time of death? I who am so sinful and husband of a fallen woman and very unclean. So it is not possible that one can remember the name of God at the time of death unless one has some bhakti and freedom from offense. So from this only Vishwanath Chakravarti inferred that because he was able to chant the name at the time of death, that means he was free from offense. As Krishna says, Yesam tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam. So those who are free from papa, sinful activities, antagatam papam, and punya karma, perform Tedvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dhrida vrata. Only such people can worship me, engage in devotional service with fixity of mind. So if one is fixed in devotion, that means that person has some piety. Antkale cha mamena smaran muktva kalevaram swayati mad bhavam nasti atra samsaya. So only such people can remember the name of Lord at the time of death. Otherwise it is not possible. So even Ajamila is able to understand this fact. So he says that Vakuntha Nam Grahanam Jibha Bhaktam Iharati, because the name of Lord actually manifests on the tongue. Jiva Goswami has done this long analysis in Bhagavad Sandarbha on this very fact that how the name, just as Lord, He manifests in the material world. No one has the power to produce Him by any means. He comes by His own will, yoga, maya, by His atmaya, sambhavani, by His own power, His own potence, by His own potency He appears. The name is also like that. It manifests by itself. So it is not possible for one to chant the name at the time of death. One is not free from offense. Kvachaham kito papo ब्रह्मग्नो निरपत्रपः क्वच नारायण इत्येतद् भगवन्नाम mangalam. He says that where is comparing himself, that look at me, how sinful I am, and a cheater and shameless and destroyer of my Brahmanhood. And how great is the name of Lord Narayana. Means how is it possible this name actually came on my tongue? See what he's saying. If some pious person is dying and that person recites the name of the Lord, then you can understand that he was a pious person, he was practicing, he was chanting. But a person who was completely a debauchee and engaged in criminal activities, how is that he could chant the name? So this shows also that devotion is not dependent on anything. It is completely independent. It is supreme, swatantra, free. It is causeless. That is also the significance. Otherwise one would not expect such a thing happening to a Yaman. So there is no commentary on the verse actually. सोहम तथा यतिष्यामि यतचित् इंद्रियानिलः यथा न भूया आत्मानं अंधेतंसि मज्जये. So now he is making a resolve that from now onwards I am going to act in such a way, I am going to make an effort to control my mind, senses and everything, and act in a way that I don't fall into this hellish life again. So now he takes a vow that no more association with this family or life or any of these activities. Vimucyatamimam bandham avidya kama karmajam sarvabhuta shvechanto matra karuna atmavan mochye grastam atmanam yosinmaya atmamaya vikridito yathayevaham kridamrigayevadhamaha. So he says that now I am going to give up this life which I was leading here, and out of ignorance, identifying with my body, I remain bound with my family people and considering that they are my relatives. So he says, I will now give up all this and I will become friendly to everyone and I will do welfare to others, I will control my desires and lead a life of devotion. So sarva bhuta suit chantam matra karuna atma. So this is what it meant earlier when we were reading, and when Srimad Chakravarti was saying that how just one name can remove all the sins up to their very roots. So previously we did not notice this in his behavior, but it was said that he was continuing, but now we can notice that effect. So as he was saying that sometimes devotion, it does not manifest its result immediately. And that may be because Lord does not want to be taken as cheaply. But it is a fact. So now you see immediately his character is changed. It's not that he practiced controlling mind and controlling senses and being friendly and good to others and in one shot. So he makes a decision, and this is how decisions are made, especially for spiritual life. Those who think that yes, I will consider it, they will never consider it. Right? You have to just make a decision. So he makes a decision and he will just walk away from the house. So here we can see the power of name changing his life in a moment. Immediately cleaning his heart, Chetadarpan Mazam. Just wiping all the dust completely. So this is possible if one is free from offense. It's only when the offense is there, then this power does not become manifest. As the offenses are removed, then one starts seeing the light. And if one commits offense, then again the darkness covers the heart. So this is the real thing, that avoiding the offense. This is the most important thing. Because if one does not avoid the offenses, then go on performing devotional service, it will not manifest its power. So here we can see it completely glowing. So he says, Mochaya grastam atmanam yoshin maya atma. He says, now I am going to release myself from this bondage of Maya, which has come to me in the form of this woman. Because this is how the Maya came to him. She appeared as this woman, he saw and he became infatuated and was completely bound. So he is now even realizing this. As in Samadhi of Vyasadeva, Bhakti Yogena Mansi Samyak Pranihite Mani Apashyat Purusham Purnam Mayam Chatanapashrayam. And Sri Vyasadeva sat in Samadhi after getting instructions from Narada. He saw the Lord. He also saw Maya, which was supported by the Lord. And then he also saw Yaya Sammohita Jiva, Atmanam Trigunatmakam. He also saw the Jiva which was bewildered by Maya. So Maya is that which bewilders us. Ajnanena avritam jnanam tena mahyanti jantam. Our discrimination is covered by ignorance and then we are bewildered. So this is the function of Maya, Jiva Maya and Guna Maya, that it covers our Swarupa, so we do not know who we are, and then it produces objects outside, and then we are bound to them by our desires. So bondage is only through the desires, not by anything else. Bandha mukta mokshati vyakhya gunatay mane vastita. So because of the gunas, because of the senses, sense objects and desire to enjoy them, then we are bound. So it can be snapped in a second if one understands. So therefore he says that mochaya grastam atmanam. He says, I am completely grasta, means overpowered, subdued by Maya. Now I will come out of it, like the sun comes out of the clouds. So he says, Vikridito yaya eva ham krida mrigai vadham. He says, I am such a fool that she made me dance like a puppet, like a toy. You play with the toy, like that. Namaham iti dehado hitva mithyartha dhirmatim dhasye mano bhagavati suddham tata kirtanadhi. So he says, giving up this idea of I and my, in this body and things related to it. I have now recognized the truth, and I will only meditate on the Lord. I will fix my mind by engaging in kirtan, etc. So Dhasya Mano Suddham, my pure mind, Kirtanadi. So Kirtan is old practice. And Ajahn did it. And he understood the power of Kirtan. So this is how he repented. And we'll stop here next. Sukadeva Goswami will describe what he did after that. We will read in the next class. Is there any question?
You told us what Anjamila's name means, can you remind me?
Ajamila means mixed with Maya.
Mixed with Maya.
Aja means Maya and Mila means mixed.
So Aja is a synonym for Maya.
So he's making friendship with Maya.
It was a 50-50.
Yes.
Why is it said kirtan? Wasn't he practicing alone? So kirtan, isn't kirtan done?
That is Sankirtan.
Okay, so okay.
About aparad, mentioned a few times about we should not make offense, we should not make aparad. I'm wondering about, I've heard in some places, I don't know if I heard incorrectly or if it's taught incorrectly, that like aparad, so although that aparad should not be made and it's so dangerous, but then in another case it's been said that a great Vaishnava doesn't take aparad. So one side is don't make aparad, another side, if you made aparad, that great Vaishnava, he doesn't consider that you've made any aparad. So I'm wondering in what case that the aparad has been taken, or even if someone doesn't take but you've made it so it damages you, so what's the case about this?
Yeah, whether he takes or not, he should avoid, that is the point. Because even if he does not take, because it's actually called Namaparad. You see, the aparad against devotion, aparad against name, it is the name which is taking it. So even if that person is not displeased, the name is not pleased, name is unhappy, and that goes against you.
So I mean not exactly in the case that I should not worry about the aparad I made. I'm wondering in the context that if we hear about, sometimes some stories told, we hear that, oh, such person has made an aparad to some Vaishnava aparad. Now everyone starts to think, oh, he has made an aparad to that Vaishnava. Meantime, that Vaishnava doesn't care.
Yes,
So
what is your question?
So in this case, if one Vaishnava doesn't care that Vaishnava has made an aparad, what happens is that some people may be a follower of that Vaishnava, so they think, oh, because he's made an aparad, until he verbally clears the aparad, we have to think he's not a good person. But meantime, that Vaishnava, he doesn't care. It wasn't a big deal. He made some comment, it's done. It's 100 years past, or 15 years past. No one should care anymore about it. But still people care, because of this point that you must not make aparad. So I'm wondering, it should be cared or it should not be cared? Because the Vaishnava himself doesn't care.
And that's why I'm saying that you should care. Because it is not, you see, you have to see from your point of view. It's not that Vaishnava does not care, that is all right. But do you feel that you made an offense or not?
But I'm not asking that me.
No.
We're looking at someone else.
Okay, Mr. X does some improper act to another Vaishnava, Mr. Y. So it is immaterial that Y is not offended. The point is that does X feel that he has done improper act or not?
So maybe he doesn't feel.
So if he
Or-
does not feel, that is even more dangerous. That
But-
he's acting wrongly and he's not even feeling it.
No, I mean, he felt,
Yes.
but then what is the process that he should remove that offense?
He
Because
should go to that person
uh,
and ask for forgiveness. We should not assume that he is not offended. And if there is no possibility of asking forgiveness to that person, because it may not be possible all the time, then at least within oneself one should feel that I did wrong and pray to the name to forgive me.
so if that person X has done that,
Mhm.
but nobody knows that, nobody knows the mind of that person,
Yes.
so nobody is satisfied. But that's my point, is that nobody is satisfied, but it's not really their business, because
Yeah.
it's between X and Y.
You cannot satisfy everybody. You first satisfy yourself. That if you have done something wrong, are you satisfied by that, doing that wrong? Obviously not, if you are sincere. Right? So you should first do something which you feel okay, like he is repenting. You understand? So that you should do. I mean, so many people will speak so many things, what can we do? We don't even know who is thinking what about me. So what can I do? And if someone you know, then you say, yes, I made a wrong and I ask my forgiveness. I am asking my forgiveness to you also, that you also please forgive me. If you are disturbed by it, please forgive me for this. You can also say that. Only you did something wrong to somebody else, but his disciple is disturbed. So you say, please forgive me for this. I was wrong. Simple. Is it clear?
There is many stories in the Shastra where we see a devotee reciting this mercy of the Lord, and we learn that actually he was in this previous life in touch with Bhakti. That's why he received this mercy, like Ajamil, in this case. Many stories. So I wonder if there is any. This is the Bhakti Lata Beach, you know. There is any first time when someone received the Bhakti Lata Beach, because each time we heard the story.
Well, in this we saw two explanations. Vishwanath Chakravarti did not say that it was from the past life. He said that he received it in this life. That's what he was saying. And Jiva Goswami says that Prachin Bhakti. Prachin also, of course, I'm translating Prachin as past life because from the story we don't see that in this life he was blessed by any devotee like that.
So it can be both, or
Yeah, it can do both. Because when it happens in the past, that is also present at that time. Right?
I'm thinking more about your answer to make it more clear that so suppose we have, you mentioned X and Y, so the X person has offended the Y person he doesn't consider anything. However, X person, he may or may not have rectified himself. I'm the Z person. So so in my case, what I'm thinking is I heard someone said X has made great offense to Y. I'm not clear that Y has not considered. I'm not clear that X has not rectified. Nothing is clear for me, but I know everyone's talking like this. My personal mood, and if I'm right or wrong, I don't know, but I think, although I know aparad is not good, but I'm not sure what was the aparad. I'm not sure that that offense is still there or not there. So my feeling is, it's not really my business. So I want, if I like Z, if I like X, he's a nice guy, but everyone's saying no, he's not a nice guy because he did this. I'm thinking it's not really my problem, although the Y person is a great personality, so I should know the truth, but how can I know the truth? So I'm thinking that's their business. It's between X and Y, it's between X, Y, and Krishna. Z, it's not really, Z is not involved. I just have my personal relation. It's okay. In other words, I didn't want to make a problem that I'm also associated with the aparad because I've accepted X. The people think like this, that how can you talk with the aparadi? Then it becomes a great problem. So I think that it's not, I don't make a problem because I don't really know the situation, and beyond all of it, it's up to Krishna anyway. So that's really my question, that I'm thinking it's the Z persons cannot be implicated in any mistake. This is really my question.
Yes, if Y is not offended, then you can make friendship with him. I don't see any problem. If Y is upset
Then
with X, then you make friendship with him, then Y will also be upset. Y may also be upset with you. But if he is not, then I don't see any problem.
I mean, I may not even know Y person, but I know he's there. So
That's what I'm saying. As you said, that Y is not offended by him. He only does not take this offense.
I mean, in general, great Vaishnava we say doesn't take offense.
Yes.
So can Y person take offense if it says that Y
Yeah,
person?
why not? He can.
He can.
Yeah, he can. Why not? If the name can take offense, why not? Why? They don't take offense. That is.
So where have I heard this, that the great Vaishnavas never take offense? Where has that been said?
I never heard that never take offense.
Okay.
I think that it is never. They can become. Mahaprabhu was offended when Jagai and Madai hit Nityananda. He was offended or not? He got angry, he wanted to kill them. Right?
But then Nityananda stopped him.
That is different, but he also got offended.
But that's, so Krishna can take offense, but the Vaishnava doesn't take offense. That's my idea from that story.
Now if
Because Vaishnava is lower.
if suppose Nityananda was there and somebody was hitting Haridas Thakur and Nityananda gets angry, then you will say, well, he's also Lord. So then you will keep on saying this. If there is a Vaishnava and another Vaishnava is being offended by somebody, this Vaishnava will get angry or not? He will say, no, I'm a Vaishnava, I don't take offense. Yes or no? He may not take offense somebody doing personally to himself, but he can become offended if something is being done to another Vaishnava. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, so that means Vaishnava can also take offense. Otherwise Vaishnava becomes like he has no emotions. If you love somebody and that somebody is in trouble, you feel for that somebody. That's what relation means. So Vaishnavas can also take offense. Otherwise, why there is a mention of all these things that Vaishnava Ninda, don't do this, or Vaishnava Aparad? If there was no Vaishnava taking offense, there is no need to mention it. The very reason that we are asked not to commit this offense, and in fact this is considered as one of the most dangerous ones, that means it happens.
Because I think the aparad is more dangerous for the person who commits, and for the person who receives, you may or may not receive. It's not related exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm only talking about one who commits. It's not.
Yeah.
So that means the offense is there.
Because the way I'm seeing is, so if I'm the person Z, the Y and the X person are different people, then although I may, if I'm affiliated with Y, I may want to also defend Y and not associate with X, but it also may be that I see in a different way, that I think anyway, they have to resolve, I don't have to defend actually. It's not my position to defend. I'm not so close anyway. I'm a little bit separate.
It all depends on relations.
Yeah, that's not so much hard and fast like this way, it depends. That's my question mark.
It's a matter of relations. Actually, offense is also related to the relation. Because Vaishnava is related to God, it's related to the name, that's why name becomes upset. When you do something wrong to him, it's question of relation. Because name is conscious. Nam Chintamani Krishna, Chaitanya Rasvigraha is conscious. It's not just a sound, it's a living being, it's a person. Feelings. That's why he becomes offended when he criticizes Vaishnava. Because of relation.
How do I say this? The name is Krishna and cannot be deceived. Right. So we see in practical devotee life that sometimes, or even many times, devotees accuse each other of making offenses with political and ego-tainted motivations or mentality. And say, oh, you made an offense, or you know. So on one hand, we are supposed to be very intelligent and discriminative and really understand what's what. And on the other side, there is this threat and fear and challenge of committing offense or accusations of committing offense. It seems to be a very, very thin line to do the right thing. So should one have? I see the only way is to really trust the name to understand your motivation, and not be carried away where the others accuse you of making an offense. Like the fear of committing offenses seems to sometimes overshadow your enthusiasm to do anything, to even surrender.
Yeah, when you hear all this talk, it looks like you can't even move your hand.
Yeah. And you can't even trust your intuition anymore.
Yeah, so obviously these things have to be understood properly, and they are not meant to be used politically to exercise power over others, which is done in societies. Whenever there are human beings, there is always politics. Whenever there are two people together, there is politics. It's unavoidable. So, what can we do? One has to use one's own intelligence. That's why it is better to understand things properly in proper perspective and not get carried away or influenced unnecessarily by others. Because if you make somebody fear so much that he cannot even perform devotional service, it is also useless.
So even if one, which seems to be unavoidable, does commit some aparadas, like chanting inattentively or whatever it is,
See, as long as we have this material body, it's almost impossible to avoid offense. Because this body is made of the three gunas and they function according to their own laws. So we can be inattentive, we can be in forgetfulness, we do things which are not supposed to be done even without knowing. So these things do happen. The idea is that we understand, and at least with our best capacity and best ability, we try to avoid them. So now it is said that it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Unless your already fixed in chanting, you are free from offense, your mind actually likes to chant, then you will not be inattentive. Otherwise, when you start from practice stage, it's going to be inattentive. Now, if I start fearing that offense, then I should not chant. Because I think, well, I'm going to commit offense. So the idea is not to scare you, and therefore you don't perform devotion service, but make an effort not to be inattentive. That is the idea. So same way we deal with Vaishnavas. Now if we deal with Vaishnavas, there is good possibility that somebody gets offended, even if I don't intend it. Because I have my mind and I'm thinking with my mind and acting in a particular way, but the other person may not understand me. Because it's not that whatever I think I have to say all the time. We also keep many things inside and act. Or I see you, I'm walking, I'm absorbed in one thing, you are passing by and you say, oh, this may I didn't even look at me or care, and then become upset. So I didn't have that intention to make you upset or anything. And obviously you do not know what is going on in your mind. And then if you become upset, it was not my intention, but I made an offense by that also. So now if I say, well, it is better that I don't associate with Vaishnava, then I am free from offense. So that is not the idea we are telling to avoid Vaishnava offense. That is just taking it to the other side. So in the same way, the idea is not that now this X is thinking like this, Y is thinking like this, so I should not do it. The thing is that I am not myself intending to offend anybody, and I am being very careful. Still there will always be some people who will get offended. It's a fact. In practical life, I think we experience that. That is my experience. That is unavoidable. But I do my best.
And I have another question about this chanting inattentively, the offense of chanting inattentively. Like in other yoga practices, there is a more technical approach to the chanting, like exercising breathing and for concentration to increase your concentration. Would that be considered an offensive to use such exercises or practices in japa, in chanting?
Why should that be considered offensive?
Because in our sampradaya, such things are not taught.
Yeah, but if it helps you, why should it be offensive? There is no reason for it to be offensive.
Krishna says in Gita, to look in the tip of the nose, think of me, so it's there.
So that would be okay.
No, it's okay. But I'm saying if it is helping you to concentrate your mind, why it should not be okay?
Okay.
That means that it is accepting what is favorable. It's according to individuals. Everybody has his own needs.
Yeah.
Accepting and rejecting.
So whatever you think is helping you.
No, I was just saying, because then you're using the mantra as a yoga practice.
No, you're not using mantra in yoga practice, we are using yoga practice to chant mantra.
So it depends on your focus.
And if your intention is that, then this is good. If you use mantra to do yoga practice, then it becomes offense.